Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another video. So today what I'm going to be talking about is what you need to know before tattooing yourself. So there are quite a few things that you need to completely understand before you actually jump onto actual human skin and of course tattooing yourself for the first time. In this video I'm going to break down all of those things so you can be ready when you get to that point of your career. And also, if you're new to the channel, I'm Brandon from Tattooing 101 and welcome to this video. Also, make sure you're liking and subscribing down below so you can keep up to date on all the videos we make each week. Great, so now let's get into it. So the number one point you need to completely understand before you ever tattoo yourself or clients would be sanitation. This is the number one most important rule you're going to have when it comes to tattooing. So what I mean by sanitation is making sure that you have a clean environment to work on, being a studio or a tattoo shop. Depending on where you are, there will be health departments that come check out everything and make sure it's 100% sterile so you're able to tattoo in that environment. They will look at things like, do you have an autoclave if you're using reusable metal grips? Or if you're using disposables, or if you're using cartridges, how you're disposing of those things are also very important. You also need to completely understand how to perfectly sterilize your equipment. You need to make sure that you're using non-porous areas that can be sterilized. You also need to use a sterilizer, which will be like Maticide or Cavicide. What that does is kills everything on that area. Now I also want to point out that you are not tattooing on your armrest just without any protection. You need to be able to wrap up all of your things. Anything that you're using for the tattooing process, you need to wrap up with cling wrap, cellophane, something to completely cover up that area to keep it clean and sterile that you could just toss away. But even though you do that, you still need to use your sterilizer or your cleaning agent to make sure that it is 100% sterilized before going on to the next client. Now, when I'm doing a tattoo, I will do it before and after my client is tattooed. That way I know 100% at all times, all of my equipment is clean. And obviously if you sterilize your equipment at night and then wait a whole nother day, you don't want to have all that stuff sitting on your tattoo equipment all night and then go to tattoo a client. Even though you are wrapping it up, you just want to make sure that everything is 100% sterile because your name is on the line. Another huge thing that you need to understand before you tattoo yourself is gloves. I understand completely that you're tattooing yourself and you don't think it's a big deal, but you need to wear gloves. You don't know what's hanging under your fingernails. When surgeons go in, they wash their hands for, 5 to 15 minutes, scrubbing underneath their fingernails, everything to make sure their hands are completely clean. Now, you do need to wash your hands before every single tattoo that you do, even if you're tattooing yourself, but you also need to wear gloves. That way there's no chance of infections or anything like that during the tattoo process. Now, after that, of course, it's going to be with your aftercare to make sure it doesn't get infected from there. Another thing I want to point out would be if you are first starting into tattooing, you are probably using disposable grips, things like that. So you don't want to use any metal stuff that you do not have an autoclave for, and more than likely you're not going to have an autoclave. So make sure you are using single-use things and throwing them away at the end of the tattoo. Even if you're tattooing yourself, it doesn't matter. You don't want to mess with bloodborne pathogens because they can mess you up for the rest of your life. Now that we've gone through the key points of sterilization, I wanted to point out a couple more things that you need to understand before jumping onto tattooing yourself. You're going to need to understand depth control. What that means is having the knowledge and know-how to get your needle into the second layer of skin perfectly and keep steady throughout that process. Now, of course, it's going to take time to try to get used to that and try to get used to human skin after working on practice skins and things like that. But you need to have a steady enough hand to be able to run a line without going too deep or too light in some areas before jumping onto tattooing yourself, because this could lead to problems with healing and scarring and a bunch of things that you don't want to have to deal with whenever you are tattooing yourself or tattooing clients for that matter, because you mess up a couple tattoos and that could really put a bad name for you and affect your career as a whole. So yeah, just make sure that you're practicing on practice skins until you get completely comfortable being able to pull a clean line and understand the depth that you need to go. And I have plenty of videos on here explaining the actual depth that you want to get to and how it looks in actual fake skin. The next key point will be where to tattoo yourself. So this is another big one. Definitely not as big as sterilization, but something that you have to keep in mind. Tattoos are forever unless you get them lasered off, so it is very important to understand a couple of things before tattooing yourself. Placement is everything. Don't try to go tattooing your fingers, your hand, your arm, areas to where you do not have two hands to be able to stretch the skin and learn how to tattoo properly. Any practice you're getting, you're trying to introduce that into making this into a career and tattooing actual people. So if you're tattooing on your arm one-handed, not being able to stretch, not holding your machine the correct way because you have to get weird angles to tattoo yourself, that's not helping you grow. You're pretty much just wasting your time, and you're going to regret the tattoos you're doing on yourself eventually in life. And I could say that with confidence because I did tattoo my hand and I tattooed my arm whenever I first started out. And now I have a blacked out arm because I despised it completely, to the point to where I wanted everything covered up, and then I got a cover up on my hand that's pretty much just black too because it's super dark. So please take my advice. If you're going to tattoo yourself, start out on your leg, making sure that you have appropriate space to try to learn and to tattoo as close as physically possible like you'd be tattooing on a client. I understand that it's a lot harder to tattoo yourself because of the pain. It's super annoying. It's hard to get your mind to put the correct depth because you're tattooing yourself and it hurts. That's why tattooing on your leg is a great place. You know, right on top, don't try to tattoo the side of your leg or the bottom of your leg, things like that, because it could make it really awkward to try to tattoo and you're not going to learn from it. So I want to know, what was your first tattoo that you've given yourself? Or if you haven't tattooed yourself, you're still in the learning process, what would you like to do on yourself for your first tattoo? Comment down below. I'd love to see what you've got or you're going to do. So why do tattoo artists or apprentices tattoo themselves? So whenever I first started out, I was told it was pretty much a rite of passage. You know, that you need to completely understand what you're doing to people before doing it to them. So that's kind of the same thing I've kept throughout my career with all my apprentices. They've always tattooed themselves as soon as they get done practicing on fake skins. And of course, your first one on yourself is not going to be great. You just need to have the knowledge to be able to do as best as you can without destroying your skin or overworking it and things like that. And also definitely having the knowledge on sterilization to make sure everything is clean. I hope this was able to help you out, kind of break down exactly what you need to know if you are kind of wondering when you should jump on to trying to tattoo yourself. As always, like and subscribe down below so you can keep up to date on all the videos we make each week. And also, if you would like to check out me actually tattooing myself a couple weeks ago, make sure you check out the video. I will leave a link below. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.